You know, the last movie that I reviewed on the Ridley Scott Review-a-Thon was The Last Duel, which was pretty highly rated when it came to critics and viewer scores. What's it going to be like to take a look at one that's on the other side of the scale? That's right. Let's take a look at Exodus Gods and Kings. Let's go. The defiant leader Moses rises up against Egyptian Pharaoh Ramses II, setting 600,000 slaves on a monumental journey of escape from Egypt and its terrifying cycle of deadly plagues. The movie stars Christian Bale, Joel Edgerton, John Turturro, Sigourney Weaver, Ben Mendelssohn, Ben Kingsley, and Aaron Paul. You know, the movie didn't do too well when it came to the critics. 30% favorable, and for the viewers, 35% on the ratings there. Not too great for what's considered to be, one of the greatest filmmakers of the last, I don't know, ever. It's pretty bad. So yeah, I really wanted to take a look at this one and dig into it further. I'd never seen this movie before, so I was going into it with, I knew how Black Rain was for me. Black Rain wasn't my favorite of the Ridley Scott movies I've seen in my life. It just didn't hit me. So I was kind of expecting something along those lines. I was actually pleasantly surprised with Exodus. So I think every culture in the world knows who Moses is. It's kind of a weird thing to just, hey, I'm gonna make a movie about this guy that most people know who he is. I'm not a super religious person, so I was coming to it really just from the aspect of did Ridley Scott make a movie that makes sense, and did he make a movie that I can enjoy watching? And for me, I think it was pretty good. There were a lot of criticisms thrown around when this movie came out. One of them was that the voice of God, or maybe God himself, but the character is named Malik. He's the child that speaks to Moses throughout the movie. Yeah, people didn't seem to like that. I don't know what they wanted. Did they want an actual talking bush? Did they want a big booming voice from the sky? I don't know. I enjoyed the way that it was presented here. Of course, depending on your faith, you could say, well, he just imagined the whole thing anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered whether it was a snake talking to him, a bush, a kid, a big booming voice. It didn't matter. For me, it really worked because you can visualize not just the words being said, but the tone. And seeing him interact with this child who, I gotta say, did an amazing job, by the way. But I thought I really liked it. And from somebody who's not super religious, I was cool with it. And I thought it worked better than the big booming voice that we see in other movies. One of the other things that people brought up a lot, seems like in a lot of different reviews, because I read a lot of them, because I was kind of like, what am I missing? Because I liked the movie, I couldn't understand it. One of them was that they found Ramses to be too, too human or too empathetic, right? You kind of want, in this sort of story, you want an evil, just this evil dude who you want to see all the bad things happen. And he didn't play him that way. Joel Edgerton played Ramses in a way that made you actually feel for the character. And it made some actually interesting points throughout the movie. So it was kind of one of those things where, in bringing down, I guess, the bombastic performance that we've seen before, like Yul Brynner in the Ten Commandments, it's a little more believable, and I actually preferred that. And one of the other things that I kept seeing a lot was just this whole idea of, you didn't say, let my people go, and you didn't, throw the staff down and it becomes a snake, that's all from the Ten Commandments. So in my opinion, you're just constantly comparing it to, this classic movie. And I feel like that's unfair. You might say, well, then what's the point of making this movie? Well, I think Ridley Scott brought Moses to a human level, and you felt for his his sanity almost. You know, you're like, is this guy going crazy, or is he actually seeing these things? I appreciated the way that Ridley Scott framed the movie, the way that things that were portrayed, the characters I felt were pretty good. I will say Sigourney Weaver stuck out a little bit. She's not in the movie very much, but she plays it very, I don't know, her I guess her cadence just didn't seem to fit. I don't know. It was strange. But everybody else was, I really enjoyed watching them work. Even Aaron Paul, who, I gotta be honest, I haven't been super impressed with Aaron Paul ever since Breaking Bad. I mean, even during Breaking Bad, I was kind of like, yeah, he's just that dude, you know. But here, he played a very understated kind of performance, and I really appreciated that. Probably the biggest controversy, though, when it comes to Exodus, the thing that probably most people remember, is the controversy over the casting of a bunch of white actors in parts that are clearly like Arabic type roles. But this is what Ridley Scott had to say about it. He says, "I can't mount a film of this budget where I have to rely on tax rebates in Spain and say that my lead actor is Mohammed so-and-so from such and such," Scott says. "I'm just not going to get it financed, so the question doesn't even come up." In a way, I can see what Ridley's saying here. I mean, it's just hard to get a movie like of this size and of this scope, you know, this epic, to be able to be made with someone who's an unknown, right? I mean, I understand that, but I also think that it would have been interesting to see it played by some people, let's just say racially accurate. I think that would have been interesting to see. But at the same time, I keep going back and forth. It's like, well, isn't that what acting is? It's playing someone that you're not. So I don't know. I honestly did not even consider it when I was watching the movie. But at the same time, I totally understand. But one of the things that kind of baffled me about the whole thing is no one seems to have brought up the fact that they made Moses like a warrior general guy. I mean, I never saw Moses that way. But I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense. I don't think there's anything like super historical in nature that they can point to and say, yeah, he led an army, you know, or whatever. But yeah, the one thing that I will say is that by making Moses a warrior general, it almost, well, I'll just say it's very similar to another Ridley Scott movie. Yeah, it was really cool seeing all of the I guess the attention to detail, the costumes, the set design, everything was beautiful. The plagues themselves were kind of amazing to watch, some of this stuff, and some of the choices when it comes to the really supernatural stuff was really, really interesting and subdued, which I know a lot of people might look at that and say, well, this is a movie, you know, based on a story from the Bible. I mean, shouldn't it be kind of this big grand thing? But there was a subtlety there that I really, really appreciated. And then when it came to the end, holy wow, like the ending was more interesting than I thought it was going to be. And what I'm talking about is the parting of the Red Sea, which in this movie is not exactly what happened. So it was kind of interesting to see how that went down, and basically the description of exactly what happened for that, for I guess the passing, the actual going through the Red Sea, how they were able to do that. One of the things that I need to really start doing more often is when I get a physical copy of these movies, a lot of times the special features that are available on these are not available on the digital versions. And in this case, it's a big one. So the deluxe edition of this movie comes with the 3D copy of the movie as well. Now, my 3D TV is not working very well, so I didn't watch that, but it does come with this Keepers of the Covenant, Making Exodus, Gods and Kings, a 7-part documentary, which is actually ends up being longer than the movie is. So for those of you who like that stuff, I mean, yeah, but it's directed by Charles de Lauzirika, who also did the amazing Alien quadrilogy sets back in the day. He's done the Kingdom of Heaven set, which I have yet to review so far, but the guy has been working alongside Ridley Scott, making these sort of behind the scenes features for years and years and years. The guy is a master, and this was a fascinating look at every step of the way, from actual conception of the story, all the way through post production and release. It's amazing stuff, and I highly recommend that if you're a fan of Ridley Scott, if you're a fan of making movies in general, these editions, especially some of these Ridley Scott editions, are so amazing to watch, and you learn so much about the making of movies that it's sometimes it's better than the movie. One of the things that I thought was really cool, watching this couple of little cool tidbits, when Prometheus came out just a couple of years prior to Exodus, some unused helicopter shots were used in Exodus, because yeah, I mean it's his exile in the desert. It just made sense. It was kind of cool to know that another one of my guilty pleasures, I guess you can say. No, screw it. I love Prometheus. I don't care what anybody says. That some of those shots are in Exodus as well. I thought that was pretty cool. One of the funniest things that that you learn when you're watching this documentary is that during the crossing of the Red Sea, right? Christian Bale kept playing some little bitty pranks on Aaron Paul. So when they're crossing, of course, there's all manner of animals crossing along with them, and one of them is camels. And the camels would, poop in the water. And what would happen is every time Aaron would see it, he would gag. He had like this gag reflex that he can't control it. So Christian Bale would try to get the poop over to Aaron Paul during a take to see if he could make it through the take. And I just think that's funny. That's really funny. So I guess, if you've watched up to this point, you know that there's probably no chance that I'm going to give this less than a recommended. I think that this movie is a lot better than what the reviews give it credit for. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. I'm going to give this 3.25 stars. It's not perfect. It's not like the best movie ever, but you know what? I had a really, really good time watching it. I love the documentaries. I just had a great time with it, and I think more people should give it a shot. So Exodus, Gods and Kings. Anybody else actually like this movie? I'm kind of curious. Let me know down below if you've seen it and what you thought of it, and we'll talk about it because that's a lot of fun. So thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.